even have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones, and this is the Talk Beat Jones. 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 Oh man, I really just have to express my love for Mr. Henry Tyler, the Executive Vice President, General Manager of TV 33, that he is the person, the hands-on person that trains all of the people that come here to TV 33, Cable Channel 91 to work, the interns, the staff, etc. R.J. Watkins is the person that is the CEO, the person that attracts the business. His hip that they have such a wonderful, wonderful relationship that no one can get involved with and wonder why this happens like that and this happens like that. You can't even get into it. They don't even play that. They didn't even play that. It's such a wonderful trapeze. And if folks know, well, let me not do that because a lot of folks don't know what trapeze means. It means that they have a relationship worked out that none of us can understand why it works so well. And I'm just fortunate that Mr. Tyler allows me to come into part of that because he initiates me with coming out, and if I didn't do what he and Mr. R.J. Watkins standards was situated, he would tap me upside my head. And you know, it's like y'all may not understand it. It's like in the old days when an athlete would do something really good and you couldn't go out and do all these dances and all this stuff that they can do today. The players and the coach would come out and tap you on the butt. Bam! You was willing to run through a brick wall to get that tap across your butt. Pow! Because that was the acknowledgement that you've done something wonderful for the team, for the organization, for your community, for yourself. And Mr. Henry Tyler initiated me with that, in that he would come out and tap me upside my head. One, if I'm doing something really, really well, and two, if I'm feeling too full of myself. Check yourself, Billy, without saying anything. So I love Mr. Henry Tyler, and I love the team. And I just want you to understand that when folks think that I, for some of whatever the reason, may feel full of myself. Nah, I got a checkpoint. I talk about my mama, my daddy, but Mr. R.J. Watkins, Mr. Henry Tyler, they have a plan that, and let me put it this way. In sports, if you were an outstanding athlete with potential, you're the one that the coaches would always be barking at and talking stuff to and scolding you, etc. If you were an average player doing your best, they left you alone. And so I came up during that particular era, so I understood what it was like to be the one that people or the coaching or even your teacher was the one that would get on you more than everybody else. You say, well, why me? Why not them? Because you are the one that have the ability to take it to the next level. You are the one that have the ability to do things that others cannot. And what this station has been able to bring to me through Mr. Henry Tyler, RJ, and for many of you who know that I, after 20-something number of people that JD had being his person, I was the final person that he selected to be his person for almost 10 years, 8, 9, 10 years. And once again, the guy on the back that you see behind me, Charles Chuck Johnson, when we talk about history, Google him. Google him. Since this is Black History Month, Google him. And when I talk about persons that have been very instrumental in my life, and why when I come to this microphone I don't take a back seat to no one, period. The people who are the operative people that have been in this business, that are in this business, are the one that scolds me, the ones who tap me upside my head to be the greater, better person that I can be. And I'm going to, quote, return to my roots. And I'm going to be the Billy E. Jones that I was groomed to be on the airways. Billy E. Jones is the person that I am. No longer do I take any monikers from someone else that I placed upon myself. My name is Billy E. Jones, and that's the person that I am. So Black History Month is making a big impact on me and looking at what I want to project, whom I want to let you understand that I am. The name that this person who is sitting in front of you, my name is Billy E. Jones. Nothing else. Nothing else. My telephone number is on the screen, and I open up the television program today. Whatever time you're viewing us, I open up the telephone line so that if there are questions or if there are comments that you choose to make on this Detroit type of day, Woo! You can do that. I know many of you are maybe kicking back and saying, nah, I'm just going to chill. Well, you can do that because, again, I talked to you about the wow calendar. And I have Mr. Charles C. Spalding is the lead person in January 1977. I see I have Mr. James P. Beckworth in March of 1977, and he seems to be a little very, very interesting. But I bet you nobody out here that's watching the program, I bet you don't know anything about him. Bet you don't know nothing about him. Why? Because your activist folks on the microphones who play the same song names that white America has placed in their brains, they don't do actual research. And the research that they do is basically the same regurgitation that the white folks have put out there for you to know about. Once again, the name is James P. Beckwourth. Anybody can tell me who he is? What he was about? I don't think so. I don't think so. Do you know anything about HIRAM? R? Revels? REVELS? For you black scholars, you folks who say that you are so much of a person who understand your black history. And as we go through black history that was introduced into the school system after a lot of protests, including the San Jose football team going on strike, protesting the fact that they did not have black studies at that school at that particular time when John Carlos and Tommy Smith was winning the gold and silver medals. And this that we do, holding our fist up to acknowledge our greatness, cost those men their careers. And the fact that when they put black history into the colleges and high schools, etc., that white folks and other folks were the primary persons that was enrolled in black history classes, not us. Do your history, do your research, and find out if we're hitting you with the right stuff. I know you don't really care for it, but all I'm doing is giving you the fact. I'm giving you the facts. But I know you want to potentially hear from somebody that you like, that you can go through the microphone and pick up your telephone and complain about that day's commercialized issue. But I'm just simply asking you, can you really think for yourself? Or are you just a Me Too person? And I don't mean this in terms of the women's movement. I'm talking about a Me Too, because remember when Me Too was not considered the Me Too of the woman's situation. It was like, well, I'm going to do this. And it was like, okay, me too. And let me take a quick pause. And we're seeing about the folks who said, well, we think that Donald Trump could make a real good president. We watched him on his program in which he would tell the people that had worked and had some note of notoriety, and he had the ability to say, you're fired. And we liked it. Yeah, we liked it. Program ran for many, many years because we enjoyed seeing someone being dissed. And now we're watching it being played out for real within the White House that we know of today, of the man that many of our activists, many of our black so-called leaders went through the process of saying, I believe that he could make a difference. I believe that he can cause us to get together and do the things we need to do. Even though we were saying when we come together, but we think this divisive person can help us come together. Okay, I can believe that. I can believe that. But what is it doing for us, to us? And now we're seeing that billionaire folks really don't care what you think. They don't really care what the rules are about. And every day, you're seeing in the White House, there is something different, as I continue to say to you, before the election, after the election, and now that we've got the election that's confirmed. As long as your name is in the news, you're going to do well. Whether it's negative news or positive news, you're going to do well. Because you're always going to have people who say, me too, I believe in that person. Yeah, they talking about him, but she's wrong or he's wrong, and I believe in them. And then you look at what is going on with Michigan State University. Look at it. How long have that situation been going on at Michigan State University with that doctor? With all of the particulars that is a checkpoint in terms of doctor-patient, how could this happen for all of those years? How could all of the people who were in leadership allow these things to happen to these young girls? How did it happen? I told you, and you're seeing it now, that the people who were in a higher up position are going to have a problem, and they're starting to show you that they're having a problem. Because it's like the mafia. If you got a protective plan, you can do whatever the heck you care to do. But then, as I put my calendar down just for a moment, you bring in John Engler to say that you're going to right this situation. I hear you talking about Mike Duggan, but you got the Godfather who's been pulling the strings behind the scenes, knowing that he has the person, and he is the person that's been supportive of Snyder and smoothing things along for him all of this time. And you that have been calling and talking and making the conversation about what Snyder did to Detroit, forgot that this was the plan that was outlined by John Engler. He's been receiving appointments while, quote, he's been off the radar, the big radar, all of this time. But the fact of the matter is that while you still been playing checkers, they have been consistently playing chess and putting their pieces together and making one move after another. While you're working to get the king, they work to get the queen. Why? Why? Is it that we constantly want to take the thoughts of folks who want to get you on their side? They bamboozle you and you go along with it because they do it in a commercial style. Someone who particularly, and let me change that and say not someone, but folks who talk on a black perspective and want to be strong on the blackness and the research and the history of black folks. But what microphone is it that they're using? What platform is it that they're using? Yes, sir. If you give me the microphone and don't charge me no money, I'll come on and I'll help you develop your business, and I'll help you gather all of these black folks to bring them to your station and have them letting you know that you are the best thing since cornbread. I didn't say white bread, I said cornbread in the urban population. But then you're going to get and you're going to complain, and you don't throw no love. You don't throw no love to the station that is black. Not urban, but the station that is black. Then you tell us about how that station, when you declare that you want to move on up yourself and be a candidate, they take you off their station. And once you lose or you are dismissed, then you can come back to the station. But I do believe that this station here, that I'm sitting at the microphone, had the power of the people, for the people, by the people, and had the folks who was running for the interests of the community and helped get folks elected from the station that I sit today, back in the day, when black folks was truly black. Not all this marginalized blackness. Not this process of saying, oh, well, Billy, you can't say that because I think that that's not a good look. But you letting all of this other stuff come out over the other stations and you never call them and check them. My name is Billy E. Jones. No moniker. No pretense. My name is Billy E. Jones. Write that in your book. You're live. Can I get your first name, your conversation, please?
Yes, Billy's Annie.
Annie?
Yes.
I'm really not on a promotional tip for Jasuru.
Uh-huh.
I'm not really on a promotional tip for Easy Silk.
All right. I hold on.
No. Because that's not strictly where you are. You've been around 80-some years. How have you seen your people in Detroit change, or have they been people that have been fighters, or do you feel that they have just sit back and take whatever has been given to them?
The sit back situation, Billy.
Say what?
I've seen the sit back situation. It's not.
You see them sit back,
Yes.
and so as they're calling and they're complaining, um, and vocalizing their discontent, um, because as I sit on this station, and I remember some years ago that there were groups of people and groups that had put themselves together, that had no money, could not raise no money, but all they want to do was come on and find a way to get something put out for free.
That's right.
Then they want to turn on the station,
Yes.
and now you see they don't have a voice.
Right.
Those leaders of those particular groups, they don't have any voices or any power per se,
That's
except
true.
if the white folks give them a little something in the paper. And this station was the station that was giving them the voice, but they could not find a way to do any fundraising for within their own group to allow them to have the power to put the voice out there, and then turned on this station. I'm going to tell you the truth, y'all. I'm telling you the truth. Turned on this station to try to hurt this station, but is willing to be with the white folk station and help pump and build them up. Sometimes I can deal with it, sometimes I can't. But when I go back to being Billy E. Jones, it's like, tell the truth, Billy. Tell the truth. And then those who I speak on, you see, they're scared. They can't call me. They can't talk to me. They can't explain what their actions was about. They can't. Because when you tell the truth, they say to me, the truth will come to the light. Tatum Eason always taught me to tell the truth. When he finally died and X amount of years went by, then I was able to tell the truth about the things he taught me. So, and for folks to understand, Agnes Hitchcock, whom you can have a feeling this way or a feeling that way, was a fearless leader. And when she took you on to tell the truth. Yeah, it was harsh. Yeah, it was harsh. But that's the way TV 33 rolled back in the day. Unafraid, unabashed, and we raised true leaders to place them in the leadership position to represent the folk of Detroit. Not these marginal folks that we have now. No. And when Agnes Hitchcock got into a physical condition that she no longer was able to be here to represent her cause, it was through Agnes Hitchcock and Mr. J.D. Hill that placed Billy Jones on the airways to sit in for her time slot. So all of these backbiters and whatever else you may have been, I want you to understand the truth. My name is Billy E. Jones. Hold on. Caller, you live on the Talk Beat Jones. I'm Billy E. Jones. You're live. Can I get your first name, your conversation, please?
Hello, Miss.
Hello, Mr. Jones.
Hi, Miss Eastside. You're welcome to call. Thank you very much for calling.
I'm glad you said those things about Agnes Hitchcock, and I'm sorry that our man is gone, and he's no longer living anymore, because he and them used to help us out, help people in the city of Detroit and any place else out. I miss him. I miss the people who do things like they used to do, and not because of some money or what they could do. And I'm proud of you in a way, because you speak up at times for the people, and you do the right things too. This phone is speaking double. Your phone is speaking double, and
Hold,
it's
hold
coming
on.
back. But that's okay. I just want to thank you
Oh,
for the
Miss
beautiful.
Eastside. They told me that what you have to do is, I'm not sure, you've been a long time caller, that you turn the TV down.
Turn my TV down.
Yes, ma'am. You can turn your
See, I
TV
don't know
down or
about these
put the
things.
TV on mute. You do that now?
Well, it's going now.
Okay. Because you can hear me through the telephone, not through the TV, darling.
Okay. But I just want to thank you because you're still sticking up for the people. And I hope things turns out right for you because they got to start waking up, Mr. Jones. We are killing each other, and they're sitting downtown laughing at us, laughing at what we say about each other and everything. And, it didn't used to be like that. Now, when you said Tatum Eastman, see, those people taught me a lot when I was coming up. And I've been knowing them ever since I was about 16, 15 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And they used to come to my home over here where I live at now. And I used to listen to them. And I've always listened to them because they never told a lie about anything. I don't care what they did. They would fight for the people in the city of Detroit. This is the shame what's going on in the city of Detroit like now.
I agree with you.
Agnes Hitchcock fought. They got rid of her because they didn't want her to be up there in here. They told lies on it and everything. Everybody that was helping us, everybody that was helping us from that station, they didn't want to be bothered with them anymore.
Miss Eastside, let me take us back a little bit. Do we remember that this station used to have people that would come on and talk about the school systems and the food that they were serving in the school
Yes,
systems? You remember that?
yes,
And the same persons that was talking about how terrible the green hot dogs, etc., was, once they became a part of the school system, school board system, and someone on the system that the other folk had gotten control was providing those people with the clothes and a little side money. All of a sudden, that school contractor was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
you remember that, huh?
Huh?
You remember that.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is that why I say now, Miss Eastside, is this, and I'm understanding after all of these years the frustration that you have voiced over these airways after listening and watching for the change of folk, etc. I understand your frustration in what has been going on in the city of Detroit. And that's why I'm declaring, letting people know my name is Billy E. Jones, and I stand alone in my views and my perspective, and no one, and that's why I came across, let you know that Mr. R.J. Watkins and Mr. Henry Tyler, I report to them, and I don't consult necessarily with them, but if I step out and I'm wrong, and I'm not representing what they present, and when I get weak, and I'm not responding to what this station is supposed to be about, which is the history that this station was built on. And for folks out there who don't remember, and the folks who are too young to know what the station is about, then I'm going to slap you the way they slapped me. And I don't care about the ones who say, "Oh, wait now, you got to be nice, you got to be polite, because it's not a good look for you." If you cannot talk to the white folks and the black folks who speak on the stations like that, then don't talk to me. I don't care if you don't call me. The words will be heard around the world. When this CD is finished, it is shipped to Oakland, California, where I have another TV station that operates with me. But Detroit is where when I die, this is where I'm going to be. JD used to say, I got more years behind me than I have ahead of me. Mm-hmm. I am going to step up to the plate and talk and tell the truth. And those who don't like it, go in the back room, talk about me, do what you want to do. But believe this, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Well, I know this is the best station for the people of the city of Detroit to listen to, because for one thing, I used to know when they always told the truth about everything that went on in the city of Detroit, because nobody down there was being paid. Nobody down there was being paid by us or anything. Everybody got along with each other. But you got more crooks that call that station now and tell a bunch of lies because they in with Doug and them and stuff. And see, that's not right. We have children that's going to listen to this. We have people that's been listening to this for years and years and years. And on top of that, everybody down there helped each other and helped the people in the city of Detroit. Now they don't, because they putting money in their pocket, and Duggan think he's getting away with something. He ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, Miss Eastside, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Down memory lane once again. Folks do not realize and don't remember how Janice Winfrey got into the office that she now holds.
They don't.
They don't remember that it was this station, Richard Harrison, used to bring Janice Winfrey and interview and have conversations to bring her to the light when the other lady who they said was going to be the city for life, who when she ran into that problem with her people out there taking the votes and voting for the seniors, opened the door. And there were other great candidates potentially, but they didn't have the notoriety that this station gave to Janice Winfrey.
And that's the biggest.
Now let us understand the power that this station possessed in placing people in political office. Maureen, they even created another person with Maureen's name.
That's right.
To try to block her from being a city council person. That's how dangerous this station was.
That's the best station it is for us as citizens of the city of Detroit. That station has always been good. I don't care what goes on. I try to tell the truth. But people don't like me because I tell the truth. But if God gives me enough ministers to go on and I can get better by next month, I don't give a darn about them people downtown. They work for us. They got a car. I don't have a car. I'm paying for them to drive around in a car that they take money out of to pay for their cars and stuff. Everything that they do, the citizens of the city of Detroit pay for it. We pay everything and we get nothing. Nothing
when
at
is the last time you've heard anything from James Tate?
When is the last time you ever heard anything from James Tate?
Well, he came from the police department, and I thought, here's how crazy and stupid I was, because of his presence. I forgot he was a communication person, but I thought this man, this black man, is a potential person that may at some point be positioned to be a candidate to be the mayor of Detroit. How wrong, how wrong, how wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like we look at uh, the fact that Dave Bing and the city council folks, they always was at war. They quote was fighting, and they couldn't get things done. And that's how one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, but that's how Snyder looked at I can take over Detroit because people forget. Let's go back again and do your history. Black History Month again is when Dave Bing was elected mayor. He stated that almost every week he used to spend time with Snyder. Okay? Go
Oh, I
early
knew that. I
back.
thought y'all knew it too.
Go early back and look at, so that problem or that situation, was that contrived or was that set up to make Detroit a problem? Because Dave Bing Steel Company that everybody thought was such a success was a bankrupt operation with all types of violations. I know I'm talking to a lot of Dave Bing fans and friends and associates and ex-employees, etc. But again, your truth is the truth.
Well, it might be late, but I'm glad you all are starting to wake up. And people from Washington, people from these women that have jobs there, they done woke up too. And everybody now, they can't say that I just talk about people because I don't like them. I don't care if you're white, purple, green, or whatever. You have a job to take care of the people in any city you work in, and that's who you're supposed to take care of. And everybody that Dave Bing and all those people that you put in office, they weren't for us. And when we tried to say it, you say we were, envious of other people. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about people taking care of children, helping people out in the city of Detroit, because this is where I pay my taxes and this is the place I love. But after all of this stuff, half of the people that call you right now, they are against us, and we're the ones that pay all the bills. Look at downtown now, and look where you live at. Look where I live at. Look like alleys, because they want all of this land, all of this property, and everybody's trying to give it to them. But God, I hope before I die, I can go down there and tell them what I think about each and every one of them. And I'm sorry to take up so much of your time. But if you don't wake up in the city of Detroit, you might as well move out.
I've got
And
Dr.
God
Massey.
bless you. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, I thank you this, but I ask you one question as I leave. Because Dr. Massey got to get on. I'm sure the snow was blocking him. I'm out there stuck. I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm going to get away. But here's my last question. Not looking for an answer. But tell me something. All those people who served on the city council, once they were off the city council, tell me something. They are the ones who voted, who put the policies together. Tell me something. Why is it that they no longer become a guiding force to help us navigate this political scene? I'm going to let you go. We'll maybe talk about that on a Monday or Wednesday
Yeah.
or Sunday,
Next
okay?
time I'll tell you about that.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Annie, thank you. Bye-bye now. Dr. Massey, I need you to get ready to come right on right now, please. Family, this has been Billy E. Jones. Remember, the name is Billy E. Jones, 313-412-3111. Now let's bring on the voice of Detroit, Dr. Massey. You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. And this is the Talk Beat Jones.
This is Dr. Massey with the Voice of Detroit on this lovely TV station, WHPR, coming out of Highland Park, Detroit. We're just so grateful to the Lord for the trip out to Las Vegas and being able to go out and get back. And I tell you, it was a real challenge. When we got there, they wanted to put us before a panel. They had made it up in their mind that they was going to expel my grandson and just put him out of the whole system because he did kind of beat up on a young man out there. But when I got there, I looked at the report that was drawn up by the counselor, not the counselor, but the dean, Starhill, and he had already made the recommendation for my son to be totally exposed from the school system. And but I read his report and I read his own personal testimony. But then there were 3 or 4 other kids involved, and I read their testimony as well. Well, this way it was. I think it was 5 characters in the scenario. One of the child's name was Josh. Another one name was Mason, and one named Sean. And the young man who alleged that my son had beat him up, his name was Andrew. And what happened though, when I looked at it and read it, I found out that my son was not really a bully, but he became a protector of these other kids. Because what happened is Andrew, who was a Jewish boy, he had put out a hit. They didn't call it a hit. He told somebody he wants him to jump, which is in the adult term would actually be a hit on someone. So he wanted to put a hit on Josh. The accusation was that my grandson had stole his telephone, and then after he discovered my grandson had his own telephone, and matter of fact, he has an iPhone, and he got the latest model, an i8. So he had no reason to steal this young man's phone. But he still wanted to accuse my son of stealing his phone. Then later he said that my grandson had stolen his phone and had given it to Josh. So the next thing that he began to do, he wanted to put a hit out on Josh. And then when my grandson found out that he wanted to put a hit out on Josh, you got to realize now Josh is my grandson's friend. So he approached Andrew in the lunchroom and told Andrew and kind of wagged his finger and tell him, oh, no, that won't happen, meaning him trying to get somebody to jump Josh. But then later it began to develop that Mason began to confront Andrew about him accusing my grandson of taking his phone. And so what happened after that, then Mason had, not Mason, but Sean had received a text from Andrew, and now what happens is the young Jewish boy, Andrew, wanted Mason to jump, wanted Sean, rather, to jump Mason. Well, that's just too much. Now, you know, as I was there explaining it to him, that my grandson got my DNA, and certainly he ain't going to let nobody pick on nobody, and especially not his friend. With my DNA, I tell you, he's like a pastor, really, and that's the role that he saw for himself. And now you got somebody jumping on one friend, trying to put a hit out on one, now trying to put a hit out on another friend. He just wasn't going for it. So the only way that he could figure that he could work this thing out, because at this time, my grandson got a bad report, according to Star Hill, and he ain't going to listen to nothing they say anyhow. But at that point, my son just kind of took matters in his own hand. But I told him, you know, as a pastor, yeah, and I told him that we had the spirit of David. Now, if a lion came and attacked one of the sheep, what are you going to do? Or if a bear came, then what are you going to do? You're going to stop that bear, and thank God he didn't go to the extremity with it, because David killed the bear and he killed the lion. And not only that, he killed the Philistine giant. When everybody was shaking in their boot, here it is, Andrew bullying and Andrew putting out hits. But instead of Andrew getting put out of the system, they was going to put my grandson out of the system. Well, when we got to explain it to him just like it is, my last statement was, are we going to justify the wicked and then condemn the just? I told him my grandson is just or justified in what he did, because if we don't stop this kid going to wind up being a terrorist, and he going to blow up the school system. Well, anyway, it came out real good for us. They decided to take the expulsion off the table, and they decided that we're going to take him over to one of these disciplinary schools. Well, it's just like throwing the rabbit in the briar patch. That's exactly what my grandson needed, because his dad, my son, is overseas playing ball in Argentina, and he really needs a strong hand in his life, because, you know, he's a young man. And the young men need a strong hand in their life. I was with him about a week this summer. I flew out there in November, and spent a week with him, and then now we go back to straighten out this here mess. But anyway, they wind up putting him in one of these disciplinary schools. Got him waking up very early in the morning, around 4:30, because he got they sent a transportation for him. Thank God for that. And they pick him up at 5:45, and they told him they don't want him to be late. They want him not to miss the transportation that's picking him up. And so this first week went real well. Now, over there at this particular disciplinary school, you got one-on-one tutoring. And this is what I always desire, not for my grandson, but for every grandchild, is that they can get one-on-one tutoring, that they can get one-on-one, they can get the computer lab, and also the homework assignment lab. So he'll be able to do all of this, and he'll be able to get his homework before he leaves school, which is really a blessing. So God knows exactly what to do. So they'll keep him into that particular system until he can prove that he can handle his grades and be able to behave himself. And when he can do that, I tell you, everything's going to work out all right. So we're just thankful and grateful to the Lord for causing us to go out there. And we thank you for him for his grace and his mercy and how he allowed them to respond and really do a great job for my grandson. Well, my time is gone, but listen, if you have someone that died in your family and you just don't know what to do, while you're in the midst of your bereavement, I want you to call Jita's Funeral Home and talk to Yolanda Jita Cameron. She's the executive director down at Jita's Funeral Home. They are located in Chicago at Oakman. That telephone number is 834-6100. And give me a call. My number is 313-332-8592. Again, my telephone number is 332-8592. God bless you. We'll see you on next week if the Lord will. And if this snow don't keep coming like it's coming down now, it's actually sleeting outside. God bless you. Love you.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. And